What's up guys, Mike here, and recently the Chicago Cubs won the World Series, which is great for Cubs fans, congratulations, but it also means that the Los Angeles Clippers might be the most cursed team in pro sports today. Yes, I'm gonna be honest here, when I started researching this video, I wanted to do like 4 or 5 NBA teams that are cursed. But I started with the Clippers, wrote 4 pages of a script, and here we are. So today we're going to look at the Clippers organization as a whole. We're going to look at their team history. We're going to start when they were the Buffalo Braves, and I'm going to show you proof that the Los Angeles Clippers are cursed. We start in the summer of 1976. In this summer, the Braves fire head coach Jack Ramsay despite the fact that they had just reached the playoffs for 3 straight years under Ramsay's command. Because he is a great coach, Ramsay is almost immediately hired by the Portland Trail Blazers. The Braves promote Tate Locks to head coach, who leads the Braves to a 30-52 record the next season and miss the playoffs, starting a streak of 15 straight years where the future Los Angeles Clippers franchise will not participate in the NBA playoffs. Meanwhile, the Trailblazers behind Jack Ramsay win the 1977 NBA championship, which is a great sign of things to come. And we are still not done with the 1977 NBA season, because in October, the Braves managed to trade for 21-year-old Moses Malone for just their first-round pick in 1978 and $232,000 cash. Remember, this was a man who would finish his career as a 12-time All-Star, 3-time MVP, and first ballot Hall of Famer, and the Braves stole him for next to nothing. So of course, they celebrated this run of good fortune by playing Moses a grand total of 6 minutes in his first 2 games, then trading him to the Houston Rockets for 2 first-round picks because Moses complained about his lack of playing time. Moses went on to average 13.5 points and 13.4 rebounds for the remainder of the season in Houston and won his first MVP just 2 seasons later. Unsurprisingly, Tate Locks was fired as head coach shortly after Moses Malone was traded. And we're just getting started here. In December of the 1977 season, the Clippers proceeded to trade the face of their franchise, Bob McAdoo, a man who had recently won the 1975 MVP, to the Knicks for John Giannoli and cash. McAdoo will go on to average a combined near 25 points per game the next 4 seasons and finishes his career in the Hall of Fame, while Giannoli never breaks 10 points per game in his career, is off the team the next season, and is out of the NBA in 4 years. Fast forward to the 1977 NBA draft, where the Braves hold the 3rd pick because they just had a horrible season due to their several stupid moves. With the 3rd pick, the Braves could select Walter Davis, the 1978 Rookie of the Year and a 6-time future All-Star, or Bernard King, a future Hall of Famer. Instead, Buffalo trades their number 3 pick for 28-year-old Swen Nader, who spends 6 years with the Braves and never makes the All-Star team. But still, the Braves opened the 1978 season with one bright spot on their roster. Just last year, 20-year-old Adrian Dantley averaged 20.3 points per game and was named the NBA's Rookie of the Year. In order to make sure that their roster is devoid of any young talent, the Braves of course trade Dantley to the Pacers for Billy Knight, a man who will spend 1 season on their team. Meanwhile, Dantley goes on to become a 6-time All-Star and a Basketball Hall of Famer, which means if you're counting at home, in the span of 12 months, the Braves managed to trade away 3 future Hall of Famers, Dantley, McAdoo, and Moses Malone, and traded away a pick that could have been a Hall of Famer, Bernard King. As if this wasn't enough, the Braves round out this 12-month span by trading George Johnson, their 1978 first-round pick, who would become 4-time All-Star Michael Ray Richardson, and their 1979 first-round pick, who would become Cliff Robinson, for Nate Archibald. Again, the Braves mortgaged their future for a 29-year-old NBA veteran, and the basketball gods again smite them, as Tiny tears his ACL before the season starts and misses the whole year with injury. Quick note, at this time, the Buffalo Braves trade owners and end up becoming the San Diego Clippers. We're not really going to go into that, but it happened. Which brings us to the start of the 1979 NBA season, where the Clippers acquire prolific scorer World B. Free for just their 1984 first-round pick. Free is just 25 years old at the time of the trade and proceeds to average close to 30 points a night for the Clippers in the next 2 years. But because the Clippers are cursed, this seemingly good trade of course comes back to haunt them, because the 1984 draft will see the Clippers land the number 5 pick, a pick which sees the Philadelphia 76ers select future MVP and Basketball Hall of Famer Charles Barkley. Moving to the summer of 1979, the Clippers decide to target a big-name free agent and sign Bill Walton to a massive deal, despite the fact that the Trailblazers let Walton go after he led them to a championship and was named MVP because he had clear horrible foot problems. For the Clippers, Walton goes on to miss 2 full seasons in the next 5 years and only plays in 102 total games. A month later, the Clippers stay on a roll and trade their 1986 first-round pick for Kobe's dad, Joe Jellybean Bryant, an average player at best. Of course, the 1986 pick will become the #1 overall pick in the draft. And as if things can't get any worse, the 1981 summer sees another change in ownership, as notorious racist Donald Sterling buys the team. Now, this might actually be the worst move that the Clippers have made so far, but don't worry, there's a lot more coming. Because in the next 6 years, the Clippers find themselves with 8 first-round picks. And you can guess what happened. In 1982, they select Terry Cummings with their second pick, 1 spot ahead of future Hall of Famer Dominique Wilkins. In 1983, they trade their #4 pick to the Lakers for Norm Nixon. The Lakers take Byron Scott, a man who will be a key starter on 3 championship teams. 1984 sees the Clippers with 2 first-round picks, where they take Lancaster Gordon at 8 instead of future All-Star Kevin Willis, and Michael Cage at 14 ahead of future Hall of Famer John Stockton. In 85, the Clippers draft 3rd, where they take Benoit Benjamin over future All-Star Xavier McDaniel and future Hall of Famer Chris Mullin. And in 1987, the Los Angeles Clippers managed to acquire 3 first-round picks and select Reggie Williams over future Hall of Famer Scottie Pippen, Joe Wolf over future All-Star Mark Jackson, and Kenny Norman over future All-Star Reggie Lewis. And we're gonna pause for a second because I just have to say, look, I get it. I get that the NBA draft is tough. I get that teams miss picks all the time. But at this point, with this many missed picks, it certainly seems like something is happening. Some kind of curse is taking form. And yeah, you could say the Clippers management might just suck. But the curse of the Los Angeles Clippers was not just limited to the draft. Because in 1984, the Clippers leave San Diego to go to Los Angeles, moving to a city where they will forever be known as the Lakers' less successful younger brother. If you consider the city of Los Angeles a family where the older brother is an Olympic gold medalist / astronaut, and the younger brother is like the 40-year-old virgin, only he doesn't get laid. Yeah. That summer, they trade their #2 selection in 1982, Terry Cummings, for Marquise Johnson. Now, Cummings did not end up having a Hall of Fame career like Dominique, but he was still 22 years old and fresh off a 23-point-per-game season with the Clips. But no, the Clippers have proven that they hate young talent and end up with Johnson, who we will get to in a minute. Because around the 1983 season, things actually seem to turn around for the Clippers. In September of 1983, the Clippers pick up 22-year-old Derek Smith off the waiver wire. He breaks out as a Clipper and averages 22 points per game as a 23-year-old in the 85 season, giving the Clips a solid starting 3 of Norm Nixon at the point, Derek Smith at the 2, and Marquise Johnson at the 3 to build upon. What followed could only happen to a franchise that is just utterly cursed. 11 games into the 1986 season, Derek Smith blows out his knee, is never the same, and is out of the league at the age of 29. That summer, Norm Nixon blows out his knee playing softball, misses the entire 1987 and 88 seasons with injury, then retires after the 1989 season. And to cap things off, Marquise Johnson plays 10 games in the 1987 season, runs headfirst into Benoit Benjamin's stomach, and ruptures a disc in his neck. He never plays a game of NBA basketball again. And going even further, between the 1976 and 1987 seasons, the Clippers managed to miss out on 6 Hall of Famers in the NBA draft and traded away another 3 off their roster. On top of this, they finished the 87 season with their 3 best players suffering from career-altering or career-ending injuries. Oh, and by the way, remember Bill Walton? Well, after 6 injury-plagued years with the Clippers, Los Angeles finally took mercy on Walton's soul and sent him to the Boston Celtics before the 1986 season. With the Celtics, Walton proceeds to play in 96 out of the Celtics' 100 games in the 1986 season. That number includes the playoffs, and is named the NBA's 6th Man of the Year and wins a championship, somehow avoiding injuries after struggling for years with foot problems as a Clipper, which is rough. But have no fear, Clippers fans, the loss of their 3 best players means that the Clippers finished the 1988 season with the worst record in the NBA and the #1 pick, a chance to finally break the new curse. And wouldn't you know it, the perfect player is available, because Danny Manning enters the 1988 draft as a surefire future NBA superstar. He is fresh off a season in which he averaged 25 points per game, was named college basketball's player of the year, and led Kansas to a national championship victory victory. Surely, things are about to turn around, right? Except now, the curse of the Clippers is in full force. Danny Manning begins his career as a Clipper meeting everyone's expectations and then blows out his knee just 26 games into his career. He never regains the athleticism that once made him so dominant, which is a nice way of saying he is never the same. Piling onto this, the 1989 draft sees the Clippers target Danny Ferry, who, fearing for his life, tells the Clippers not to draft him. Instead of taking future All-Star Glenn Rice, the Clippers proceed to draft Ferry anyway, who of course threatens to play in Italy, so the Clippers are forced to trade him before the season for Ron Harper and 2 future non-lottery picks. Ron Harper begins the 1990 season averaging 23 points per game, remembers that he is playing for the Clippers, and proceeds to tear his ACL 28 games into the year. You really can't make this up. But somehow, miraculously, the Clippers do find some success and break their 15-season playoff drought in the 92 season and again make the playoffs in 1993. But don't worry, the Clippers will mess all of this up. You probably don't need convincing at this point, but let's take a look at the next few drafts anyway. In the 1995 draft, the Clippers have the second pick and take Antonio McDyess over Jerry Stackhouse, Rasheed Wallace, and future Hall of Famer Kevin Garnett. They immediately proceed to trade McDyess for garbage to nobody's surprise. In 96, the Clippers have the 7th pick and take Lorenzen Wright 6 picks ahead of Kobe Bryant. And in the 1999 season, the Clippers again land the number 1 pick overall and select Michael Olowokandi, a player who is immediately labeled a bust and more than lived up to that label. In this draft, the Clippers passed on college superstars Vince Carter and Paul Pierce, who went 5th and 10th, and Dirk Nowitzki, who went 9th. All 3 of those players are future Hall of Famers. And don't worry, while this stretch of draft picks was certainly bad, there's also one career-ending injury during this stretch to add on to the curse, as Loy Vaught shows promise in the 95 season by averaging 17.5 points and 10 rebounds a game. He then proceeds to struggle with the weight of the curse on his back, requires back surgery, and never averages more than 8 points for the rest of his career. Which brings us to the end of the century, and Sports Illustrated puts everyone's thoughts into words by naming the Los Angeles Clippers the worst franchise in pro sports. And let's be honest here, the 3 fans with bags over their heads are currently enjoying their best moment as a Clippers fan, as in the last 25 years, the Clippers have now managed to pass on 11 future Hall of Famers in the draft, and now have had 7 of their best players miss full seasons with injuries that would ruin the rest of their careers, which is simply amazing. And now we're at the point where the curse of the Clippers should be more of a recent memory to you, so let's speed things up. In the 2003 NBA season, the Clippers finished 28-54, but end up with the 6th pick, missing out on LeBron, Melo, Wade, and Bosh. But it is the Clippers, and if they managed to sneak into the top 5, they probably would have ended up with Darko anyway. This season also sees Lamar Odom, one of the Clippers' only good players, leave for free agency, which was a very smart move. The Clippers have a chance to make up for the loss of Odom in the 2005 draft, where Danny Granger slides out of the top 10 to everybody's surprise. Instead, the Clips take a man whose name I will not dare try to pronounce, a man who will score a grand total of 39 points in 2 seasons before retiring from the NBA because he's terrible. But still, the Clippers find success and make it to the Western Conference semifinals in 2006. There, they lose in 7 games to the Suns after head coach Mike Dunleavy decides to insert Daniel Ewing, a 22-year-old rookie who will be out of the NBA in 2 years, onto Raja Bell for the deciding possession of Game 5. Bell promptly gets open and proceeds to knock down a 3-pointer, a nice symbol of who the Clippers are as a franchise. And we haven't had any career-altering injuries in a few seasons. Oh wait, here they are. In 2007, Shaun Livingston suffers the most gruesome injury of any player in basketball history, which is fitting for a team that is completely cursed. Then in 2008, Elton Brand blows out his Achilles, plays in just 8 games, and of course is never the same. And wouldn't you know it, the next 3 years find the curse as strong as ever. In the 2008 draft, the Clippers select Eric Gordon, who, as a 22-year-old in 2011, averages 22 points per game and is hyped as the NBA's next top shooting guard. You may now know him as Eric Gordon, one of the NBA's most average starters, because despite being traded by the Clippers for Chris Paul, he has suffered knee injuries that have derailed his career. In 2009, the Clippers would select Blake Griffin, who Bill Simmons wrote a letter to detailing all of the Clippers' past misfortunes as a way of jokingly warning Blake to be careful. Only a few months after this letter is written, in his final preseason game, Blake leaves with a stress fracture and misses the entire 2010 season. And finally, in the 2011 season, the Clippers trade away Baron Davis and their first-round pick to the Cavs for Mo Williams in an attempt to get out of Baron's contract. The 2011 season sees the Clippers finish with the 8th worst record in the NBA, giving them a 2.8% chance to land the first pick. With this, the basketball gods laugh, have the Clippers lottery ball end up with the first pick, and cheer as the Cavaliers draft Kyrie Irving. And with with the way things are going in his career, a future Hall of Famer as long as he does not get seriously hurt. Which, because he avoided the curse of the Clippers, is pretty likely. Which brings us to the last two NBA seasons. 2 years which have seen the Clippers take a 3-1 series lead over the Rockets in the 2015 playoffs, only to choke away that lead to a worse team. And the 2016 playoffs, which saw the Clippers lose their two best players to injuries in the same game. Which could only happen to a franchise that is cursed. A franchise that has never made the Western Conference Finals in their entire existence. A franchise that has seen several of their key players go down with career-ending injuries. A franchise that has passed on several Hall of Famers in the draft. I could say more, but I think enough has already been said. The Los Angeles Clippers are cursed, and I don't think that curse is going to be lifted anytime soon. And so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel and you love basketball, maybe subscribe. I look at basketball history like this video. I look at NBA conspiracies. I do NBA what ifs. Basically, if you love basketball, I think you'll love this channel, and I'd love to have you. Also, I have to mention that my research was helped tremendously by an article written by Bill Simmons. I'm going to leave the link to that article down below. Make sure to go check it out. And other than that, guys, to all of my subs, thank you so much for supporting me. You know it means the world, and as always, have an awesome day, and cue the music.